Hope you're having a great day. Welcome to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank studio as we all come off of a wonderful week. I mean, things are beginning to settle down now as Thanksgiving gets behind us. For me, it's a great opportunity to spend time with family and then go to the Mississippi Delta and spend a little bit of time up there. My son Jordan. My son Justin couldn't go with us this year because he had his girlfriend Lauren in town from New York City. And he contemplated going up for a couple of days, but just wasn't logistically possible. And so, he got to stay and spend some time with her here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast before he headed to Washington, and she headed back to New York City. But I didn't like being in the Mississippi Delta this time of year without Justin with us, because him living in New York City, it's a great opportunity for me to be able to spend some time with him. He'll be back in a couple of weeks, and we're going to be spending a week up there. The hunting to me is sort of the mechanism that creates the opportunity for us to all be together, and I love it when my grandson Brody is up there, Keith Williams Jr. and my daughter Tori have two kids, and Brody loves being in the Mississippi Delta. He's 7. In fact, he shot his first deer this past weekend, and it was just a great experience. If you're not a hunter, you just have to forgive me for being such an outdoorsman, but I absolutely love to hunt, and I love to be part of the conservation effort in Mississippi. And I was able to harvest over the weekend just a really old buck. And I just happened to get lucky. I got lucky last year. That's kind of the story of my hunting life. I happened to end up in the right place at the right time. But when you're in the Mississippi Delta and you have the opportunity, as we do, to manage some amazing property for wildlife, we get to see the best of the best. And oftentimes, most of us, when we're, family and my closest friends, when we're riding around on the farms that I lease, and it's like we never get used to it. It's always there's always a sense of wonderment and excitement, and we're privileged actually to have this opportunity to have a great relationship with this family that we lease from, the Dunn family. And it's just great being in the Mississippi Delta this time of year. So that was kind of my story. A lot of family, then heading to the Delta and spending time with good close friends and certain members of my family, and it was just awesome. But a lot of you have the same kind of story to tell this time of year. There are all these traditions that wrap around Thanksgiving as we roll toward the holidays. Hey, the only other thing I'll do before we move over to my friend Kenny Holloway, the mayor of the city of Ocean Springs, is that usually by now I've had to put up the Christmas lights, and because we were hosting Ann's family this year, we do that every other year. We didn't attempt to put the Christmas tree up prior to all that because they're cooking 2 or 3 days ahead of time, and there's a lot going on at my house. So the good news is we didn't have to tackle that till this week, and we're in the process of doing that now. And I kind of like it, to be honest with you, because it's fun for me when you've got grandkids, when they arrive at the house and they see the lights for the first time. It's just a special time. I really love this time of year. It's a time to be thankful and to thank God for this moment, because as we often say on this show, we can't do anything about yesterday. We can only plan for tomorrow. The one true thing about where we are now is here and now. We can definitely bank on this moment, and I try to do that on a regular basis. I know many of you too, and thank you for the notes. Thank you for the feedback for this show. We continue to get really, really positive feedback, so we really appreciate that, Kyle and me. Okay, let's shift gears and move over to Kenny Holloway, the mayor of the city of Ocean Springs, someone I really enjoy catching up with on a regular basis. But it's been a little bit of time since the last time we talked. Kenny, how are you been?
I've been doing good, Ricky. Like you just listening to your intro there, I guess spend some time with my 2 new grandbabies. One's 13 months old, and the other one is just about 2 months old. So, it's a special time.
What great ages, man. Look, I actually retired. I retired in my 50s because, when we reach a point of security, I just said, I'm going to retire. But the number one reason I did is to spend as much time with my grandkids as I possibly can. They can't be here enough, in my opinion. and you get to see them through all these stages of their life. There's nothing better than being a granddaddy, is it?
No, you don't realize it until you experience it. My oldest daughter, Kendall, she lives in New Orleans, and she has a 13-month-old. Well, we've been taking her to the Saints game with us.
Uh-huh.
We were in the home this past Sunday. The game wasn't great, but the having her with us and all the attention she gets in the club lounge there is, it's really, she's very popular, very outgoing, and made a lot of friends that she won't remember, but I bet they remember her.
Hey, listen, I often say on the show that Kyle plays the music in the Superdome during Saints games, and
right.
When the Saints win, he did a great job playing music. When they lose, they had a bad game plan. so and look, I've joked with Jeff Duncan from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, who joins me every Friday. He's sort of the ultimate insider. I joked with him last Friday that we would, if they win this next game, we got a chance of going all the way still. So I'm a ride them to the end and die kind of guy. I love the Saints, man, and they've had to deal with so much adversity. I really thought there was a chance they were going to win that game, and it just didn't come together at the end. It was hard to watch in that way, wasn't it?
Yeah, when Hill got hurt, he's such a factor with that team, and when he goes out of the game, it really affects that team.
Yeah, it does.
But,
how would we ever find somebody like him again?
I was thinking about that yesterday when I saw the scroll that it was an ACL. I don't think there's another one coming. I mean, the guy that can, play that many positions and fill that many roles, it's rare, very rare.
It'd be interesting to see if he comes back or retires, because I think he's 34, right? And he's had, I think, multiple knee surgeries and multiple other surgeries along the way. It's really been remarkable. Jeff and I have talked about this on the show, but we literally believe that it's a miracle, actually, that and this is recently we talked about this miracle that he hasn't had that kind of injury, and then he goes and has that kind of an injury. Just
right.
But anyone, I don't care what your age, is going to have a knee injury in that situation. You saw how it got kind of bound between those two players and buckled.
Right.
They run that risk every time they carry that football. That is for sure.
And he runs hard. He doesn't try to dodge anybody. He's running hard all the time. He's been hurt a lot this year.
Yeah. Hey, so let me do this real quick. We'll just do this during the show real quick. Kyle, I noticed that your picture went froze on me. So just if you need to communicate with me, send me a text until we get that situated. We do these shows remotely. Cal's actually at the studio. I'm at my studio at the house, and sometimes we have an inability to communicate, and this is one of those moments. But we are still rolling, and everything is fine. Kenny, it comes up on the show a lot when we get to this time of the year. It's come up recently, actually, that it's just a great time. I see you great now, Cal. Thank you. So, if you go to each community that makes up coastal Mississippi, you see something a little bit different. Each has their own little traditions when it comes to Christmas. And you and I have talked about this in the past, but the lights in the Oaks in downtown Ocean Springs, what a sight to behold, isn't it?
It is. I was telling the group the other day that 3 years ago, this is the third year we've been doing that. And I wanted them lit up this year prior to the Thanksgiving weekend, because I knew we'd have a lot of family and friends in town throughout the city. A lot of people visiting, and we want them to see it. It's beautiful. It's like a Hallmark movie. It all happened just walking down the street one day, and I looked at Raven and I said, "Hey, what do you think these trees would look like wrapped, in lights? We don't have anything." Like the Gulfport or the town green or something like that, where, something that really catches your eye and you can enjoy. And, let's give it a shot, and fortunately the local business community partners with us. It's turned out to be a win-win for everybody.
It's beautiful. Hey, speaking of Hallmark movie, maybe one day they'll actually do a Hallmark movie there. I mean, Ocean Springs would be a perfect setting for something like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, we've had a few movies shot here in Ocean Springs, so that's something we haven't sought after, but it's nice when they come in and they say, we want to shoot a couple scenes here, whatever, and it might be maybe next Christmas, big Christmas show.
Well, Ocean Springs, man, what a unique place. I mean, so many people want to come there. It started to evolve a lot after Hurricane Katrina. It continued to evolve with the development of an entertainment district. And you've got the boutique hotels that are popping up all over the city. People are wanting to go there. People are flocking there. When we come back on the outside, we'll see, what's the latest as it relates to economic development in the city. And with this, there's literally seems to be building permits popping up all over the place. We'll see you after this break with Kenny Holloway, the mayor of the city of Ocean Springs. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. I have the mayor of the city of Ocean Springs, Kenny Holloway, with us, and we're just chatting about the latest in the city. But, this notion of the entertainment district and the evolution of downtown to be a place that people really want to flock to shop at some of the most unique shops in coastal Mississippi and eat at some of the best restaurants and to just kind of take it all in. This is an evolution that's been happening a lot, and I think it really started to happen certainly after Hurricane Katrina, but around 2013 it really started in earnest. And you got to look around. I mean, there's going to be challenges that come with that. We'll talk about some of those in a second. But you got to look around the city of Ocean Springs and be really pleased with what you see in terms of the evolution.
Yeah, I am, and I think I know the board is, and the vast majority of the residents are. The business community obviously is benefiting, and they love it. And we benefit from as a city, with our 2% food, beverage, and lodging tax. So that's huge for us, and we were able to put that money back into the community, for different events, whether it's Parks and Rec or public safety or tourism. That money really helps us grow. Also, the downtown area, like you said, 2005 after Katrina, we had two bars pop up, Quitsky's Dugout and another bar. And then, like you said, in 2013, the entertainment district was formed. And, that kind of gave us another growth spurt. Looking back through the history of Ocean Springs, it's had several growth spurts. And those just two of them. So the downtown area is, we've got 1515 Government Street that is under construction. That started back in the Shea Dobson administration, some GCRF money, and now it's coming together. I think they're going to be open here in the next 2 or 3 months. Desi Vegas has announced that they're going to put a steakhouse in that building, so that's a big thing for Ocean Springs to have that type of restaurant coming out of New Orleans into Ocean Springs. And the Nicos, they're building a new building, a boutique hotel across the street, and but the downtown area is pretty much built out. What we're seeing now is people, rebuilding, tearing down buildings, putting new buildings up. So it's bustling down there. It really is.
With that, the businesses in the entertainment district specifically carry with them a responsibility, don't they?
Yes. They, and for the most part, we work very well as city and the entertainment district businesses. They understand, and we understand what a value that is, and if we don't want to jeopardize that. We don't want to jeopardize the charm of the downtown area, because that's you talk about the Christmas lights. I mean, you can't duplicate that, and you can't duplicate that charm and the vibe that's going on down there. So we got to be very protective of it.
So when someone acts up or something happens downtown that doesn't fit the sort of expectation, what happens after that? I mean, I'm sure that there's the level of expectation that there's going to be exceptions to the rule from time to time, and that it's going to require you and the Board of Aldermen to get engaged. What does that look like?
Well, the downtown area is Ward 2, and that's Ricky Othermont's ward, and he's very plugged in, and he is communicating with those businesses regularly, and I do myself also. And they police themselves for the most part, but every now and then, we had a bad apple a couple of years ago, and we had to address that, and through the court system, and they're no longer in business, and they're not allowed to come back into business in Ocean Springs. So if we see we have an issue, we'd like to call the business and invite them in and talk to them with whether it's occupancy or it's disturbing the peace or whatever it is, and we get together with them and try to say, hey, we don't want you to be a nuisance business, but this is what we're seeing, and either you're going to have to dial it back, or we're going to have to look at making some type of changes, whether it's more police protection or whether whatever it is. But we're dealing with a situation that every city on the coast is dealing with right now.
Yeah.
People don't want to go into the public safety business. Biloxi's needing police officers. Gulfport's needing police officers. Pascagoula, we're needing more police officers. It's hard to find those individuals. I've got my suspicions why. They have not been treated well in the media, the national media, in the past 5 or 6 years, and not everybody wants to get in and get beat up for doing the right thing. It's kind of like a politician, getting beat up for doing the right thing.
Well, it's tough. Public life is tough, but to be, as we have discussed, and as Fofo and other mayors and I have discussed, to be a policeman today, you have to be a little bit psychologist. You have to be a little bit lawyer. In fact, you got to be a lot psychologist, a lot lawyer.
Right.
And it's not for the faint of heart to go into this profession. A lot of training, a lot of liability, a lot of responsibility. It's a tough gig, but you know what? It's the same time, man. It's a great gig. It's one where I think you don't have. There may be national perceptions about this, but generally in Mississippi, especially here in coastal Mississippi, there's tremendous respect for policemen here. And, I'm surprised we don't see more, young people, and even retired military, for example, making their contributions in this realm. It seems like it's a great opportunity. And, when you compare what we're paying in coast cities compared to what maybe some of the other cities across Mississippi are paying, this is not a bad gig.
No, it's not. And you talk about pay, it's kind of like an arms race right now. It's we're raising our pay, we're raising our benefits, and every other coastal city is doing the same thing. So, as I try to tell them, hey, we're all in this together. Let's not cannibalize ourselves.
No.
But it's a tough deal.
Hey, but Kenny, what's interesting? Whether it's the short videos on Facebook or Instagram or X, we now have access through the cameras that policemen wear and through others and use of the cellular phone. Everybody's a reporter now, so we're able to see all these different situations from so many different perspectives, and we get a chance to appreciate what policemen go through. In my view, especially here, I think that helps policemen more. It gives us more empathy for the situation that they find themselves in. And I remember how, on my wildlife show, on the outdoor show that I have, I was talking with some leaders in law enforcement, and they pointed out, and this is probably true of policemen as well, that 99% of the people they come in contact with, they want to follow the law, they want to do what's best, and they might run a red light or have a traffic stop of some sort, but they're good people and they're not going to be a problem. But you're ramping up for that 0.5%, and you got to be prepared for that 0.5%. But that's the same thing with cops, isn't it?
It is, and it's unfortunate, but our cops have our police officers. They have. We feel like we have a good environment. We don't have a whole lot of crime. Now, don't say we do have crime, but not a whole lot of crime. Compared to a lot of different places. And, if you want to be a police officer in Ocean Springs, the old police chiefs used to say, it's the only place I've been in where they didn't wave at me with the middle finger. So, I think our residents and our visitors appreciate our police officers and our firemen, and I know our city does. Our city administration. We appreciate.
Hey, did you ever know Jack Barnett, the mayor of the city of Gulfport, back many years ago?
I didn't know him personally, but I know.
Yeah. I was working at Mississippi Power Company. I volunteered when he ran for mayor, and Reed Geis actually handled the campaign. That may be actually how I met Reed for the first time. But I was just I hadn't even made it to the Sun Herald yet. But when I got to the Sun Herald, still obviously paid attention to Jack. What I remembered about Jack, there's something interesting about him. When he was mayor, and there was a fire, he would immediately go to the place where there was a fire and bring like a bunch of like an ice chest full of water and maybe other drinks. And he would literally catch guys coming down the ladders and give them waters. And he was just active. I don't care. It might be 2:00 in the morning. And he did that. I always found that interesting. That was just somebody who he loved being the mayor of Gulfport. And, I'm sure there are a lot of stories that people could tell about how he reached out to folks. But, in that way, you're provided with a lot of opportunities to show your support and appreciation. Really, you get that opportunity often, don't you?
Yes, I do, and I try to take advantage of it every chance I get. It's not just fire and police; it's public works, parks and recreation. There's 200 employees in the city of Ocean Springs, which is, for a city our size is not a lot, really. We ask our employees to wear a lot of different hats, and we appreciate everything that they do.
I know you do. Hey, listen, when we come back on the other side, we'll continue our conversation with the mayor of the city of Ocean Springs, Kenny Holloway. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show. We're visiting with Kenny Holloway, the mayor of the city of Ocean Springs. Kenny, when we went to break, though, you were quick to point out that the employees of Public Works is an area where we should not forget them, because in some respects, actually, they can be first responders too. I mean, you think about some of what they're dealing with. I had an issue. Obviously, I live in Biloxi, so this is not related to Ocean Springs, but I had an issue with it was the sewage line that's running through the road that my house connects to, and it had an issue. And Billy Ray and his team came out there almost immediately. Billy Ray, just amazing. He's been there as long as he has been. So darn responsive. But, man, they brought this new truck there, this pump truck that they have. I mean, it was super sophisticated. And, if you can't call that moment a first response, then there's not one as it relates to the Public Works. But they have such a critical role, man, in a city, don't they?
Yes, it's very critical. We have an older city downtown with the newer developments outside to the east. But, on my street, this past week, I saw a water leak. They had to come in there and dig that up. And, it's 30 degrees, 40 degrees outside, and those guys are up to their waist in, water and, and a hole, mud hole. It's just, it's kind of goes by the wayside. Sometimes people don't realize what they deal with. And especially after, we have a storm, they're the first ones out there cleaning the streets and the festivals, the hours they put in for the Peter Anderson and the Cruising the Coast and all the other festivals that go on in Ocean Springs and the overtime they put in. It's something to see. And day after Mardi Gras parade, the streets are clean, so it's, they're out there very early in the morning, late in the evening.
Yeah, you mentioned Cruising the Coast. One of the things I said with some of the review that I did with Woody and others after this year's Cruising the Coast is I made this observation, or actually my wife Ann made this observation on the way to church last year. And she did it again this year. And that is like the Sunday right after sort of the key events on that Saturday, as you ride down Highway 90 and even into the city of Ocean Springs, you don't see any evidence that cruising was even here. I mean, what a wonderful best practice to hold other events up to. What a great event that is, isn't it?
It is. We always look forward to Cruising the Coast, and they're not a messy group. It's not like a Mardi Gras parade came through town. So for the most part, they clean up behind themselves, and like I say, we're just we empty a lot of trash cans now. Don't get me wrong, but they police themselves very well.
It is really important. Hey, listen, I mentioned to you off the air when I pay attention to news coming out of Ocean Springs. What I notice is that you and the Board of Aldermen, I mean, you're not always going to agree on everything, but as a general rule, you're very efficient in the way you're running the meetings, and I give them a lot of credit for that. It's very business oriented. You don't have these long, absolute, mind-numbing meetings. Is really down to business and covering the work at hand. That part has gone pretty well, hasn't it?
It has. We we get we've got some folks in the audience that get out of hand sometimes, but we've got a code of conduct that is in that boardroom, and we're there to do the business of the citizens of Ocean Springs. That's the only 2 times of the month we get together to really handle the business of Ocean Springs. And, we stick to that agenda, and we try to move through it in a timely manner. Everybody gets to debate or, ask questions, what have you, on different topics. But it's business. I've always said that the government is just it's like running your own business. It's you got income, you've got expenses, you got employees, you got benefits. It's the same thing that an independent business person deals with, other than it happens at a slower pace. But it's just a business, and that's what we're in there to do, is handle business. And we try to do it, in a timely manner. If a board meeting lasts over an hour and a half in Ocean Springs, 2 hours, that's a long meeting. It used to be 3-4 hours sometime. I've heard horror stories where they went to 2 in the morning. That you get into those long meetings, you kind of, you're not thinking correctly after that many hours. So
no,
keep everybody fresh.
No, what it requires though is for each member of each alderman to come into that meeting prepared. It requires, you can't come in there and expect to learn about this bullet item during the meeting. You got to do your homework. You got to get in there and you got to do it. And you're right. It's a lot like running a business, and it's slow for a reason, man. The wheels of democracy turn slowly for a reason. It's it's to allow the public to have input and keep big mistakes from happening. It's just, that's the way it works. That's the way the democracy works. But when it works the best way, you got an active board of aldermen who are in fact doing their homework, and you've got a mayor that's engaged, and you've got whoever's running the meetings is doing it in a judicious way and prepared. But prior to the meeting, it can all go hand in glove. But this point about the community. Even long before there was social media, there are always going to be people who are active in the community. Some are louder than the others. Some are a lot louder than the others. The world of social media, as you and I have discussed before, makes it so much more challenging because they can make more noise than maybe they used to could make. And, still, that noise often it just represents a small minority. Sometimes it's noise that you need to hear. And again, when you need to hear it, that's what democracy is all about. People have a voice. But it can be messy sometimes, but that's just the way it works, isn't it?
It is. That's the way it works. And we get accused a lot of, not being transparent and not having, enough public hearings and public meetings on different topics. Say, for instance, this comprehensive plan that we're putting together. You wouldn't think that would be controversial, but with some people it is. And, we're going on 4 public meetings on the comprehensive plan. And before it's said and done, we'll either have 5 or 6 where the public can comment on the plan before the draft is finalized. So, it's it takes back and forth with the community. Like you said, some of them are louder than others. But social media has really amped up what I would say that social media has not been very positive as a whole to government.
Yeah.
It's too easy to sit behind that keyboard and say something unchecked and not have to. Nobody fact checks a Facebook post,
Yeah, no, that's the tough part. I mean, it really is. One of the best evolutions with X has been its community notes, and so they're letting the community police it. And it seems to me Facebook needs to get to that on the local level, so that if something's incorrect, that you can get it fixed pretty rapidly. But you know what? Sometimes people make those posts. They know that there's some inaccuracies about it, but they do it anyway, and they don't really want you to set the record straight. They really, they're just trying to get people worked up. And you got to sort through all that. And, I tell you, man, again, I don't care which mayor I'm talking about. It's harder. It's a lot harder to be a mayor today than it used to be, just because the social media aspect of it can be very consuming, because it can get people worked up about something that doesn't even exist, or maybe it exists, but the complexion that's out there is the wrong complexion or the wrong angle to the dangle. You got to straighten all that up, and it's just it can be difficult.
It's time consuming, like I mentioned earlier, we ask our employees to wear a lot of hats, and one of them that we can't have them do is sit there and police that social media, because it's just, it's you could have somebody on the staff, 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, just to do that. That's that time, much time consumed in it. I know, back when, and I'll bring you back a few years, back when Sound Off hit the Sun Herald.
Yeah.
That was kind of nobody really liked that one if you were a mayor or an elected official, but I guess the difference today is you can respond immediately. In Sound Off, you'd have to wait to respond in an editorial or something like that in the future. But
you know what? I was involved in a lot of digital transitions. The digital tsunami has affected all media, in lots of different ways. We're seeing mainstream media being challenged with their agenda-based reporting. Now in this little national moment that we're in, you're seeing, radio stations like SuperTalk having to, their response is to be very focused on local, and us creating a mechanism for you and me to have this conversation so people can listen. I mean, I just think that's so visionary what they've done. But when we come back on this side, I'll mention one other aspect to this that is important, specifically as it relates to Sound Off. We'll see you after this break with Kenny Holloway, the mayor of the city of Ocean Springs. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. We're here with Kenny Holloway, the mayor of the city of Ocean Springs. When we went to break, though, he mentioned Sound Off. Back in the day, I remember when Stan Tyner was hired as the executive editor of the Sun Herald, and one of the very first things he did was Sound Off, and it was this opportunity to be able to send these comments in anonymously, and then they would select from it and then put them in Sound Off. They still do it today, in fact. In a lot of ways, if you think about it today, it's kind of a broken model. Because you got an editor somewhere is picking what you can see. Can the community see this? Nah, I'm not going to put that out there yet. See, social media is the Wild West. No one's picking. It's just happening. It's happening in a big way. There aren't gatekeepers anymore. That's one of the main points I wanted to make. That even whether it's news or editorial, or whether it's Sound Off or you name it. There are always going to be gatekeepers who decided what you got to see. And I've been involved in many conversations where people would say, well, the coast is not ready for that yet, or maybe we shouldn't say that yet. None of that's the way it is on X or Facebook or wherever, especially X, where we can now decide for ourselves what we want to pay attention to and what we don't want to pay attention to. And it's all going to be there, right and wrong and indifferent and sometimes raw and inappropriate or whatever it might be. But again, the community notes piece of it on X is the thing that kind of keeps the truth out there. And I think it's one of the most important things they did. I just wish we had that on the local level in a very kind of dramatic way, and it would help people like you doing your job. That is for sure. Hey, listen, as we get close to the holidays, the city will be vibrating with activity. The retailers will be thriving. So many great shops in downtown Ocean Springs. Do you still get out and just walk around like you've always done?
I do. We, I walk around quite a bit. I walk every morning, so go down to the coffee shop was where I wrap my walk up and sit down with some folks from the villa sometimes, and some people live downtown, and we just we visit a little bit. But every day of the week, it seems like now we've got folks walking and shopping and just enjoying the city. It's really, if you want a definition of a walkable city, this is it.
Yeah,
it really is.
Hey, listen, as you know, the Sun Herald's Ocean Springs office used to be downtown, literally right there next to the villa. Mm-hmm. And when you mentioned villa, it hit me.
That's the coffee shop I'm talking about.
Oh, the Villa Coffee Shop.
No, I'm talking about where the Sun Herald used to be.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. For sure. We're on the same wavelength as it relates to that. Yeah. I didn't realize it literally in that building. So that's cool. So, yeah, the big thing was we were going to change the hours, and the pushback we were getting was from residents of the villa who wanted to come into the Sun Herald office and have coffee with our employees. I mean, that's what they wanted to do. And when we talked about shortening the hours, it was going to affect so many people. I mean, you could just about go to that office at any time and find people there wanting to come in and talk and chat and see how things were going. But none of that's really changed, has it?
No, it isn't. It's the villa is a special place. It could not be built there again if you had to do it today. It would not be allowed there. And but I had State of the City there. We do a State of the City, every year, and I did a second one just for the folks at the villa. Because a lot of them can't get out and move around, or that time of the evening when we have it. So we try to, that's a whole different, like a little subdivision right there.
Yeah. That reminded me when I was going to Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College at JD. I played drums and bang on the piano a little bit, but I was in this little variety group. It was a cool group of kids that were involved in, we played music and different things. And we would actually go to retirement homes and senior citizen places and play for them. I really enjoyed that. I kind of miss that, actually. They appreciate that, don't they?
They really appreciate that. They appreciate, the interaction. They appreciate, having to know what's going on, and even to, to let us know what they think is going on, and around their neighborhood. So it's to live in the villa. Heck, that's probably the most valuable piece of real estate in Ocean Springs. It may be on the coast. I don't know.
I think you may be right about that.
I think I need to start getting on the list right now because the waiting list is lengthy.
I bet it is. Oh my gosh. The villa, for people who don't know, is a retirement home, literally in downtown Ocean Springs. And if you're lucky enough to live there, you know that it's a special place. Kenny, as you get ready for the holidays, what's your message to people who are not from Ocean Springs about coming to Ocean Springs and visiting?
Well, we invite everybody to come and visit. We've had some instances this past weekend that were not Ocean Springs like, and we will address those, with the different entities that are responsible or where it happened. But we want everybody to come, enjoy, shop, bring your family, walk around, enjoy the lights. But respect the city, respect our neighborhood, respect our citizens, and we'll respect them right back. So,
I know you will, and good luck kind of nipping any issues in the bud there. God bless you, my friend. Have a great holiday.
Thank you, Ricky. You do the same in your family.
I really enjoyed catching up with you. This has been Kenny Holloway, the mayor of the city of Ocean Springs. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.